Now we're going to work advanced footwork combinations. The idea behind footwork combinations is to work the dexterity and the control over your body. And we've talked about this before, but Bruce Lee used to really emphasize footwork because, again, if you don't have good footwork, then you're sort of a sitting duck. You can't attack the person when you want to. When you see the opening, you may not be able to get there. And when you see the attack coming in, it's going to be much easier for them to set you up. Even if you're pretty fast about moving away, if you don't have proper footwork, it's easy for them to set you up with one thing and then follow up with the next and get you with it. So this is going to give you the stability that you need for really becoming a martial artist, a real fighter. Curve right is usually used to cut over a line. Your opponent might be in left lead, right lead, whatever. But for the footwork's sake, we're going to move off this line. We've already worked the curve right. So as I get off this line, I would normally be throwing a lead hand attack. The footwork is set up to drop a hammer type punch in as you're moving. So I have Angelico moving with me because that's basically the only reason you'd push shuffle at that point, is if he's actually not still standing right next to you. So I'm moving, he's angled off, and from there I immediately am going to burst or push shuffle off of that rear foot. And again, work the timing at first, just get it clean. That's all you need. Move, push shuffle, and then you try to get rid of as much of the downtime between each movement. So as opposed to, where you can count 1 1,000 or 1 1,000, 2 1,000 or whatever, between this, I'm going to move off, and as soon as you can get your weight back to your rear foot, I'm going to push off with that lead hand attack. Now the push shuffle to curve right, just the opposite of what we just did. So I'm moving forward, your opponent's moving off the line. He's getting enough out of the way that it's not just a simple rear hand response for you. You have to actually angle your body, especially if you want to keep your lead sort of fencing mentality driving forward, that lead hand attack. So I push shuffle in, and he's off to that line, to this angle. I'm just going to quickly shift the weight to my rear foot, boom, and push shuffle off. Okay. Once again, curve right at the end is push shuffle, then you have to curve, boom, with the step. It's similar to the push shuffle except for the curving movement. You just have to really launch off of the leg. So I'm moving in, 1, Okay, this footwork set is push shuffle back to curve right. And again, this is one of these things where you just have to bring your momentum to a screeching halt and then do something that feels completely unnatural. But that's the point. If it feels unnatural, you need to work it. Actually feels a little unnatural for me. So push shuffle back, boom. The idea is that he's attacked me and I'm kind of, whoa, caught off guard. Obviously our normal response is an interception. But we're just focusing on footwork here. But even then, you might get caught off guard. This might actually be useful, especially if your opponent's in a left lead. So I'll just do this a few times without him hitting. I'm going to push shuffle back and then curve right. Okay, and that curve right usually gives us a nice cut over the lead arm of your unmatched opponent, or if your opponent's in the unmatched lead. So one more time, back, boom, curve right. Okay. And by the way, we covered this in the earlier levels. Just to recap, when you're doing these footwork movement drills, you should be pretty much on the balls of your feet. It can shift, but nothing should be flat-footed. So you know this by now, but I just want to make sure that you kind of keep that in mind. When I'm moving, it's almost impossible to do a drill like this if you're not on the balls of your feet because you need the calves to sort of act as shock absorbers. Flat-footed, you're going to have this kind of clunky feeling and you're not going to get away from your opponent. So now as Angelico moves forward, I'm going to push shuffle off, but boom, you want to have this on the half beat. If this is going to be real life, this is a real fight, I can't wait till he's already retracted and walked 10 paces away before I do the next footwork. So as I push back, boom, I'm coming over that hand right away to hit. And this works really well against a guy that's really lunging in with a punch. If he's just kind of testing you with a jab, you wouldn't do something like this. So he steps in, boom, and I'm moving around. There's nothing to say that I couldn't just punch straight. This is a drill. So don't get too caught up into that. Oh, I could have just hit him there. Yeah, that's true, but we want to train the body. So he moves in, boom, step in and hit. And my hit usually lands before my rear foot is completely moving. Actually, the rear foot finding its position helps to transition all the power into the lead punch, just to recap on that. So as he moves forward, boom, I'm coming back over here. All of this can be done with a following kick or whatever, but we're talking the basic footwork right now. One more. So this can also be done with the quick retreat footwork or the slide shuffle back footwork, where I'm moving back, boom, and then taking that angle to the side, angle right. So, boom, to the side. This might be if the guy is throwing a quick kick at your shin, and I'm stepping off with a hand attack. It could be done if he was throwing a punch. You can still do that footwork. I don't typically do pendulum type movements if a person's attacking with the lead hand, if it's obvious. Sometimes just the way the person's aggressive, you don't know what they're doing. And so that's a safe footwork because it still gets you out of the way and it also gets your leg out of attack range. So whatever he moves, and I'm stepping down with that attack. And see, when his hand's up, I'm hacking into this tool. As I move around, it's just right over the crook of the arm. There's really nothing you can do except for try to cover this with the rear hand, and you have this whole area to hit. You can even blast the hand into the face. So it works. One last time. Here, boom, and there's your curve right with your hit.